Hello everyone and welcome back to a game review. This one we're going to talk about Final Fantasy 16. I'm your host Twisted Games, and if you guys do enjoy this type of content, give this video a like, comment below, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We're going to go over a few key parts of the game. We're going to go over the plot, the gameplay, and the content of the game, and also we're going to break it down what are the pros of the game, what are the cons of the game, and then we'll give it a final score. Like I said, everything here is subjective, and I try to do my best to be the most objective I possibly can with the game. Now, first thing we're going to talk about is the plot. Now, the plot is you play as main character Clive Rossfield, who was born into royalty on the Rossfield family. His dad is the king of what they call Rosaria. His mom and his brother named Joshua Rossfield. It is important because Clive can do magic, but he can't tap into what you call a dominant. Now dominants, they summon icons and go fight wars and stuff like that. His brother Joshua, who's younger than him, is able to summon the Phoenix dominant or icon, how you want to say, and he can summon it at a very young age. Clive couldn't, and basically they tried going to war within our group. Other things happen, trying to do no story spoilers. In a scenario where traitors things happen, Clive did things that he thought was wrong in that time period as a kid. He had been captured and going to the what is called the enemy side and working for them. And he, like some magic, is called what a bearer is. So bearers are basically what they would be the slaves. Basically, like if they need fire, basically if they're messing with fire, they would go over to the master and like, guys, someone fire and stuff like that. So Clive is he's what a bearer, but he's in an army when he grows older, and eventually he meets a guy named Sid. Now what Sid wants to do is make everyone equal as possible. So he wants bearers and regular people to like be equal to each other to a point where they can signify how death and how they want to live their lives. So when we go from that point, and so Sid wants to destroy what is called the Mother Crystals, and each kingdom inside the country area has a Mother Crystal because there is a blight occurring, and because with the blight itself is destroying everything, all the good land parts. So that's why the Mother Crystal is important. Destroy Mother Crystals, stop the blight, and other twists and turns with this game and stuff like that. Basically, that's where you start as a teenager into a grown up, and then other things happen 5 years later. There's a lot of stuff going on with the plot of the game. But that's basically the main point of the plot of the game. Now we talk about the gameplay. So gameplay is broken up a few core action part of the game. Mostly it's a action-based RPG. Basically means that I'm facing a group of enemies, I use abilities, I use moves, I use my sword, and I fight enemies off, and then I win. Or if you die, you die, right? You'll also have some party members. You have a party member like Joshua, your brother, sometimes will come be your party member. You'll have a silver wolf as a party member. And like I said, you meet other characters in the game that become a party member for you, even over a short amount of time or throughout the duration of the game. Along with that, with how the gameplay works, when you go into big boss fights, you transform into an icon. Like I said, like you evolve into Phoenix or Ifrit, most likely because Ifrit is what Clive evolves into eventually for story. So basically, what happens at that point is that you become an icon, and then the villain you're facing turns into an icon, and you guys have a big fight. Sure, and sometimes in there, it'll come with a time. So times will be, oh, I need to press square at a specific time. You press square, or you use like smash square. You gotta smash square. You gotta smash square. Other times you gotta press R1 to like dodge out of the way. So you press R1 to dodge out of the way. And so basically that's what the gameplay breaks down to. Mostly action, RPG style. and then the icon battle. That's really the whole point of the combat of the game, because that is gameplay, that's combat, stuff like that. Along with the gameplay, you get experience for defeating enemies. You get ability points, will help you increase your natural abilities. So, like, let's say you can lunge, you can master your lunge ability, and then let's say you want get an ability, weird ability called Scarlet Cyclone, where it just like does a 360 sword move. You can upgrade it, and then you can master ability. And each icon ability that you will get into the game, which is, I don't know, spoiler, unfortunately, you can master like an ultimate ability, which does more damage and stuff like that. And some of the stuff do better. Others, like one, you do damage, and then you gain health back as much more damage you do. There's another one, and someone's like bunch of air in the sky, so and it follows a group of people and just goes continuously amount of damage as possible, stuff like that. That's some abilities you have to great. And also you can equip up to what do you call attachment abilities. So like for instance, one thing would be like reducing cooldowns on your abilities itself, like increasing those damages. There's one that gives you more potency to your potions. You get more ability to like dodge perfectly. Like, you don't have to like dodge; it'll dodge itself unless it's impossible to dodge. It won't dodge, so you can dodge by itself, stuff like that. Or there's like one that actually gives you more experience, more money, and more ability points with the normal enemies that you fight. The content. So we've got the main story content, which you complete one main story, you go to the next part, and etc. like that. There's two different things of content inside the game. There is what we call the side quest, and we got the hunt. Now the hunt returned back from Final Fantasy 15. What happens over the course of the game, starting from what I want to say your Act 3 and beyond. How you want to pronounce it, but I like to separate it into like 3 acts of the total game part based on what happens and stuff like that. Starting from Act 3, you go to a new area, your new location area, what they call the hideout. Hunts get unlocked, and therefore it will say this particular enemy is in a certain location, and therefore you have to fight off that enemy at that location. So your location, you beat it, you get experience, ability points. Renown, which then allows you to grab items and stuff like that from a renown shop that people want to give to you as a hideaway, as a gift to completing side quests and hunts. And I said the side quests, so a lot of characters will give you side quests throughout the game, and they'll only give you it on certain parts in the game. So you do one main mission. Oh wow, this area has 4 side quests for me to do. So you get the side quests, you complete them, and you go to the next main mission. Stuff like that. Again, side quests will give you either money, items, ability points. Always will get renown, which again you can redeem it for items. And then there are other certain side quests which helps you actually improve your abilities and stuff like that. So like there's one quest line where you go and you get increase how many potions you increase. So the more you're able to do that part of the side quest, get a certain item for it, you increase the amount of potions you have on your side at one at a time. Meanwhile, as well, let's say you want to do the side quest that helps you get unlock the most tier inside the game. You can do that with the crafting and the reforging that allows you to get that part, get that weapon. Oh wow, I got that weapon, the schematics of it in order to make it. And so they're indicated by different. There's like a plus, and then the regular exclamation point. Exclamation point is just a regular side quest. Doesn't upgrade you or anything. The pluses will upgrade you stuff to your character to make sure that they're all good, and they will help you along the way to make sure the game is there. But basically, that is the state of the game. Main 3 points. Now, we're going to talk about the pros of the game first before the cons. So I think with this type of game, the way it is, again, subjective. and objective. I like the amount of side quests there's. I think with a game like this, they could easily like phone in these side quests. Some are phoned in. I mean, not all side quests are very interesting, but there are a lot of side quests, and they go along with the other part where your allies in the game are actually more fleshed out with these side quests. So here's an example of a side quest. There's a character who does your blacksmith, right? He's forging all your weapons, stuff like that. But there are times in the game he feels down-levered. You talk to him, he does certain things, and he talks more about him, like how how his past, how he used to be in his town. The main guy who's head of the town died. He and Zaga were fighting. Not really fighting, but trying to compete who would be the lead person in this town. This blacksmith guy leaves, and then really the other guy has to stay and right his ship, and then later on in the game, what's happening is you have to return back to the same town. You know, he's very hated by that guy, but at the same time, you and him were able to save that town, fend off enemy waves, and then you were able to amend that relationship. So, like that type of deal where maybe you're not liking that person in the beginning, but then you realize what they are later on, and then therefore that will make it better for you, and therefore you get more attachment to the ally. Which one thing I like is your allies get more fleshed out with doing the side quests, or just like talking to them in general because they have certain dialogue about certain things, major things inside the game. So I think the allies are fleshed out, and its amount of side quests to help the allies get fleshed out is a good thing. I do like the combat. I think the combat part is actually very good. I think combat is rewarding, especially when you get boss fights and you're able to just like do certain things with it, and you're like, okay, man, that's a hard boss fight. I was able to barely survive, maybe. Man, this combat is good. It's not. It can be more complex, but I think the way it is right now is fine. Um, I think the location of the area, which is based in like medieval times, so like let's say like England or somewhere around that time period. Each location, not all locations are unique in a way, but a lot of locations, there are a lot of locations in it. But if you're like going like a straight dungeon, you can't really explore much, as in like a world open area, like open field. But locations are nice, and some are more detailed than others, stuff like that. And another thing with the side questing itself, when you get to be buffing you, I think it's really good. I think it's rewarding for you to do these side quests to help you be better. Like you might say, increase your potions, create a potency of potions, get schematics on your weapons, stuff like that. That's really good for you as a person who want to get better at the game. Maybe at the end game you're kind of struggling, you want to do those side quests. That is stuff that is good and what you can do with the game itself. Now, we have to go through the negative parts, and there are negatives within this game. I think one of the main negatives inside the game, if you're a person who's never played this game, is this game has really bad frame rate at times. And for a game that's supposed to be based on 60 frames per second, based on combat, action combat, and there are times that a lot of things are going on in the game, and the game just freezes up, and it slows down and curl, even though you pick the option to concentrate on frame rate and gameplay other than graphics. That's not a good thing. They still at this point, this is September. The game came out in June, and they still have not fixed that frame rate issue. The frame rate issue is a big, and it's not even like combat. Sometimes frame rate issues will occur in cutscenes. I think, especially in cutscenes when nothing's going on, that's unacceptable in this type of game day and age. How much money they spent into it, unacceptable for that game. Type of game to have that. Another thing, plot. Quite frankly, the plot, I'm not in the best thing in the world in this game. I think the plot is kind of, once you know what you're supposed to do, it's like bleh, right? It's just like, oh, whatever. But then, not even that, the villains they introduced in the game, there's really just like two main villains in the game, which you don't even fight them until the very end of the game. There's like, what, total maybe like five, I remember it out my head. But one of them you kill off so early into the game, like, this person dies like Act 2. There's one of your allies kills off another villain. Okay, so it's like 6. Kills off another villain. There's one guy who actually plays a big part in Act 1 and how Act 1 ends into Act 2. You kill him off pretty early in Act 2. And then, well, Act 3. Technically, Act 3. And then there's a traitor that eventually kills himself, you know? And then the last act of the really last part of the game is concentrating two other villains at the end. So there's like 6 villains, but like you only kind of want to destroy in your head. You want to destroy 4 of them because one person, your ally, like your guy likes this person particularly a lot, so you want to get revenge on for that person. But like you can just ignore that person in general. Like I don't remember the guy's name. Like you kill him off so quickly. He's mentioned for like 5 seconds. You kill him off that quickly. And then the first villain you actually kill off, really, is just one of the things. It's just like, well, that person deserves it, but at the same time, is like how the person got killed. It doesn't make sense in regard of everything else. I mean, if I remember correctly, like your icon goes like berserk to a point and like kills them off. But other than that, I think some of the villains are not really fleshed out more than allies. I get what allies could flesh out more, but the villains don't get fleshed out more than you possibly could have. Um, so another negative within this game. So, like I said, in the course of the game, you know like icons. So, like you start with Ifrit, you absorb Phoenix. Like, give example, you get Odin, Shiva. You know, you get like those type of icons throughout the whole entire game. Problem with that part is that when you pick your abilities or your upgrading abilities, you only get to select like 3 of those icon things, but not all icon abilities in the group are created equal. So if you have to master those things in order to like put them in, let's say for instance, there's one that you can dash to them quicker, or you like grab them, and then there's another one that's like throws lightning at them. Well, if you like yourself in the other group area, you have to max like those abilities out to put them on other trees. And like I said, the special abilities, they call it so much ability points. Um, you either had to, you automatically had to put them a lock in like the Ifrit. It has like a fire ability, max ability. You can only put that fire max ability on that Ifrit tree. You can't put that on another tree to make sure that you can fit other stuff in. So that what kind of already fills up one of the spots, and and I think that's frustrating. They should allow you to make like 2 or 3 trees to like experiment with them and get better with them because it's really hard. It's really tough for it. So I think if they gave you another set or 2, they would make things quite a bit easier. Maybe part of the reason why they didn't do it because the game itself is too easy. That's the negative part. The game is too easy. If you play a normal difficulty level, the game is too easy. I tell you right now, I only died 3 times the whole entire game. I never died to any of the boss fights. I actually only died to the common enemy. And the reason why I died to the common enemy, like there's one time there's an enemy, like a bomb one, so I wasn't paying attention, and then he killed me for full health. I'm like, oh, okay, well that's unfortunate. I think I died to one hunt because I wasn't paying attention to my health. And there's another one I died to. I don't remember the third time, but I only died like 3 times the whole entire game. I think when I played for 60 hours, I only died 3 times. That means the game's kind of too easy. And it's either you have to increase them, or So with that, you can avoid a lot of enemies. Like to a certain point, your character, like my character, was 12 levels higher than like the enemies I'm supposed to go through. So I just dodge all the enemies. So I made like the back end of the game like really like nice and easy. When it just only ones I would attack is either the hunts or like the bosses they have inside the game. There's a lot of bosses, which is a cool thing. And I think the last negative with the game I currently have with it is I do not like the ending. I think the ending, the main point, and I get the point of the ending, right? But I'm not going to spoil the ending, everything. But the biggest problem with the ending itself is you like, of course, you win, you beat the main villain, and then with it, you don't know what happened exactly to your allies, you know? So, like, you don't know, like, one ally is like the blacksmith, for instance. You don't know what happened to that blacksmith. But you don't know what happened to your people you were grinding with and trying your friends with throughout the whole entire journey. Because it goes like everything, the last big thing dies, you beat the villain, stuff happens, and then goes to the credits, and then the post credit scene is literally two kids playing around with their mom, not using any type of magic, and everything they're doing is based off a book. You know, so we don't know what happened to the rest of the team. We don't know what happened to your allies. We don't know what happened to the country, other than a little small specific, like a minute or two clip. And I think when you put 60 hours into a game, that's not good. Not a good thing, right? And also too, I have a bad feeling because there's not gonna be DLC. There's no way you can put DLC into a game because I tested this. If you do like, because there's New Game Plus into it, if you go New Game Plus, you skip the complete prologue of the game. You actually go to the part where kind of where you meet Sid, basically. You do that part. You get up to that part, but there's no point in time you can stop before going to the last mission, unless you go ahead and you save up. So I think at that point, something tells me, it's a speculation on my part. Something tells me that the game's going to have like the Final Fantasy 13 series where you had 13.1, 13.2, and Lightning Returns. It has a type of vibe to it where I feel like there's going to be 16, this regular 16, and a 16.2 and 16.3. I don't know how I feel about that. Especially when I just sunk in what this game was $70 worth into the game, and I really didn't get a good complete ending. And I'll touch this very small negative, and you can say that maybe they didn't have time for time for development and stuff like that. But between the last two um main missions in the game, left and right, and how you think how that goes is kind of interesting because like before the last mission, I think the last like there's like stretch of 4 episodes, I was doing just straight up just side quest after side quest after side quest. What happened is like originally like 7 side quests pops up. You can pick them all up, but you can only like 3 shows on your screen at the same time. So you do that, you do like 3, and all of a sudden another 3 more pop up somewhere else. You're just like, come on, man. There's no way you should put this many side quests at the end of the game. I get why you do it because it's like your last stand and everything else, but those side quests need to be pushed. Like some of them need to be pushed a bit earlier. Like for instance, Josh, well, your brother, he gets you 0 side quests throughout the whole entire game until the last part before the main mission, the last main mission of the game. So, I mean that's kind of, they could work that together. I don't think the ending's rushed, like the back end part. I mean, I think it naturally went into the direction it was. I think everything goes natural. It's not like Final Fantasy 15 where it's going in one direction, you going. All suddenly it missed key parts of cutscenes. You don't know why it's happening, what happened, and stuff like that. So it's not like that. So in that regard, it's better than that part of Final Fantasy 15. But if we're talking about like how many side quests to put in the last part of the game, I feel like they could have stretched it out between the last two missions of the game. They could have lasted that for like the last 3, 4, 5 missions of the game. So, like Joshua could have had one earlier and stuff like that. And then some people, I realize, don't get it's not like look resolved. Like there's one, just like there's an ally named Louise, who she has different other pass away, like a family member passed away inside the game, and then that's the last mission you do for her. I was like, that's not a really satisfying conclusion. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know what her mind thinking is, except for what she's doing right now, which is helping barriers around. But that's the key parts of the game. That's what we're thinking about, the positive and negative of the game. Now, what do I think is good for a consumer standpoint? What's good for a consumer standpoint is if you want to dive into the game, if you care about a game and about how long it is, stuff like that, this game's for you. Like I said, it took me about the game told me I clocked it for 66 hours, which is a lot of hours. I think in a 7-hour game, that's almost an hour a game. An hour per dollar that I spent. So I think in that regard, you can, side quests are optional. So I think some people have been like what average like 20 hours if you do it, but I beat the game in 66 hours. All the side quests I've done, hunts and stuff like that. You cannot complete all the hunts the first playthrough because I know a case where there's 4 hunts I couldn't complete on the first one because it doesn't have a location for you. I think New Game Plus you're able to complete those 4. I'm pretty sure in the second playthrough when you did all the side quests and everything, you can just bullet through the game. But with Horizon up on the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which just got announced in February, and all the games going on this year, like Zelda, Starfield recently came out, Baldur's Gate 3. Does this game hold up to that tier of games? Now, last game I reviewed was Master Detective Rank Code. I love that game, but I had docked it for points, mainly for frame rate and what the console is on. But this game has more negatives than that one, costs $10 more than that, and I think in retrospect with the plot, I did not like the plot more than that one. So in all the games I've kind of played throughout this year and stuff like that, and what I think the consumer might buy it or not. If you bought the game, you already bought the game early in the year. I'm pretty sure it has a PC release coming up soon, so people who are playing PC will buy it. So my final review number for this game, I'm rating it as a 7.5 out of 10. This could have been an 8 out of 10 if they fixed the frame rate issue. And the frame rate and performance knocks it down a bit. I think the plot knocks it down a bit. Because in particular, there's like a character that kind of like tells you battle strategy and whatever. At the same time, you just like ignore that part. The villains are not really memorable. I think the game's too easy. I think if we're gonna play this game, you want a challenge, you want to play as the hardest difficulty you possibly can. For those who want like a hard challenge game, play as hardest difficulty. Playing normal option does not help. It's too easy. As I said, I only died 3 times. 2 of them was like careless on myself. One was like a random bomb that killed me. I went down and just didn't kill that guy. So that's what I think about the game. I hope you guys did enjoy this review, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.